I had no idea buying a house would come with this much baggage. But there I was, standing in the middle of what was supposed to be my new home, an old, run-down place I snagged for a steal, and trying to figure out how I'd gotten myself tangled in an intergalactic marriage. Zavara, my so-called wife, didn't help matters by casually leaning against a support beam in the basement and dropping the bombshell that we were now legally bound by some ancient alien property law. "Look, lady, I don't know what kind of scam you're pulling here," I said, rubbing my eyes. "But I didn't buy a house to get hitched." Zavara raised an eyebrow, giving me a look that screamed both amusement and condescension. "Oh, trust me. It's not a scam, husband. You did the right thing. You're just too human to understand." Human asterisk? I scoffed. "I'm not some farm animal or space experiment. I bought a house. That's it." "You bought the land," she corrected with a grin. "And by doing so, you triggered the property bonding ritual, completing our marriage contract." I blinked at her. "Marriage contract? What the hell kind of alien marriage contract is tied to a property?" "An ancient one," she said, tapping the side of her head with a single claw. "We don't waste time with paper. We bind to the earth, to the land itself. Your purchase activated the ritual. It's binding, husband. You're stuck with me." Stuck asterisk? I repeated, incredulously. "I didn't sign up for this. This is a freaking scam." She smiled. "In my culture, this is the highest form of matrimony. A bond to the land is the strongest possible union. Much stronger than whatever you earthlings call dating." I stood there in stunned silence for a moment, trying to process what she was saying. This is insane," I muttered. "I didn't even know aliens were real." "Maybe you should have done some research before buying a house, then," Zavara said dryly. "You really thought a house this cheap was normal?" She had a point. The place was suspiciously cheap. The real estate agent was too eager to get rid of it. But none of that had ever crossed my mind in my search for an affordable place to live. I figured I'd just hit the jackpot with an old house that needed a little TLC. But now, standing here with an alien woman who was somehow my wife, the whole thing was starting to seem too weird to ignore. "So," I started, trying to keep my voice steady, "what now? Do I just, go along with this marriage thing? Because I've got news for you, there's no way I'm doing anything you're suggesting." Zavara crossed her arms and tilted her head, amused. "I see. Stubborn. Cute. You think you can just walk away from your responsibilities?" "Responsibilities?" I spat. "I don't have any responsibilities. I bought a house, lady. Not a wife." "You bought me too," she said with a wicked smile. "That's how it works. Property ownership, marriage, it's all the same on my planet. And now, you'll have to fulfill the ritual." I stared at her, utterly lost. "What kind of ritual?" "The usual," she replied with a nonchalant wave of her hand. "Sharing breath, consuming energy together, bonding through ritual, that sort of thing." Consuming energy asterisk? I repeated, my voice rising. "What kind of messed up ritual is this?" "Not like that," Zavara said, raising her hands in mock surrender. "It's just a metaphorical term for the traditional bonding feast. You have no idea how to eat properly, do you?" "I eat just fine," I protested. "But there's no way I'm doing whatever you just said." "Trust me," she said, stepping closer, "you'll find the ritual quite satisfying. And I can promise you it involves less of the awkward talking and more of the actions." I backed away instinctively, feeling my cheeks heat up. "This is insane. You can't just claim I'm your husband because of some stupid alien rule. I'm a person, not a property transaction." Zavara gave me an amused look. "On my planet, we are our property. So yes, you're my husband. And technically, you've been mine since you stepped into this house. I've been waiting for you. My human husband." Human husband, I repeated, almost to myself. Great. Just what I needed, an alien wife, stuck in my basement, and no way to back out. She smirked. You should be thanking me. I've got skills. You'll find I'm more than just a pretty face and a complicated contract. I can even fix your plumbing. Plumbing? I gaped at her. The pipes are fine. I didn't sign up for. Before I could finish my sentence, a burst of light flashed behind her, and the pipes along the walls began to shake. I looked at her in alarm. Relax, Zavara said with a grin. Just a little alien tech to make your place more comfortable. You'll thank me later. As the basement seemed to come alive with strange alien tech, I couldn't help but wonder how deep this whole marriage thing really went. If Zavara's claims were true, this was only the beginning. And honestly, I had no idea how I was going to get out of this without being legally bound to some intergalactic matrimony I hadn't signed up for. I had barely finished processing the mess I was in when Zavara dropped the next bombshell. Now that you've activated the bond, she said casually, as though we were discussing the weather, we need to complete the ritual. There's a lot of tradition you have to catch up on, husband. Ritual? I've had enough rituals for one day, thanks, I shot back, crossing my arms. First, the basement's haunted by a wife I didn't ask for, and now I have to perform some weird alien bonding ceremony? Zavara didn't even flinch. She gave me a sly smile and walked past me, running a hand along the beams. You really know how to handle your woodwork. These beams are sturdy. I'm impressed. Okay, what does that even mean? I snapped. I'm not in the mood for innuendo. She turned, looking at me like I was the biggest idiot she'd ever encountered. It means, she said slowly, as if talking to a particularly slow child, that in my culture, strength and stability in structures translates to the strength of the union. Your craftsmanship is impressive. Maybe you'll do well with the next part of the ritual. Next part? I repeated. There's more? Oh yes, Zavara said with an exaggerated sigh, crossing her arms. We have to share breath. It's a bonding practice. Trust me, it's all part of the process. I frowned. Sharing breath? I don't even know what that means. She tilted her head, her expression unreadable. It's simple. You get close, inhale together, and then, breathe each other's air. That sounds like an inhale joke, and I'm not amused. Zavara rolled her eyes. It's not a joke. It's a sacred ritual. Get over here. Not happening, I shot back. I'm not getting all up in your business, sharing air, or whatever. She took a step toward me, eyes narrowing slightly. You don't have a choice. The bond was sealed when you purchased this house. You're legally, physically mine. That means, until this ritual is complete, you have to comply with these customs. Great, I muttered. I'm stuck in a forced marriage, with a basement wife who's going to make me do breathing exercises. Zavara's lips twitched. It's not just breathing exercises. It's connecting on a deeper level. We consume each other's energy through the breath. Consume each other's energy? I said incredulously. What does that even mean? Is this some weird space orgy I didn't sign up for? She laughed, loud and sharp, catching me off guard. You think it's that simple? Humans are so obsessed with the physical. The ritual isn't about, well, let's say it's not about anything you're imagining. It's about connecting, merging energies. Something you earthlings clearly don't understand. Clearly, I muttered, rolling my eyes. Look, I'm not a spiritual guy, okay? Just tell me what the hell I'm supposed to do. Zavara stepped forward, her eyes locking onto mine. Step 1, breathe. Seriously? I groaned. This is ridiculous. Step 2, inhale. Then exhale. Together. I watched as she took a deep breath, closing her eyes for a moment. It's that simple. You're overthinking it. Reluctantly, I followed her lead, taking a deep breath, then exhaling. She nodded approvingly. See? Easy. Yeah, except it feels like I'm about to suffocate in your weird alien breath, I said, still trying to process the weirdness of the whole thing. You're not suffocating, she said with a smirk. You're just sinking. You've got to let your body follow its instincts. Relax. I tried to relax. Honestly, I did. But Zavara's eyes were still trained on me, and her presence, which I couldn't quite explain, made the whole thing feel way too intense. We stood there, in a weird sort of silence, breathing together, and I started to wonder if I had really made a huge mistake. This is stupid, I muttered under my breath. Zavara opened her eyes and looked at me. It's not stupid. It's sacred. Sacred? I repeated. Are you messing with me? She shook her head. If you really understood the depth of the ritual, you'd realize how profound it is. But since you don't, we'll move on to the next step. Energy consumption. Energy consumption? I repeated, incredulous. What is that, exactly? She gave me a look, half playful, half exasperated. It's a metaphorical term for a bonding feast. It's about sharing, you know? You eat. We connect. I blinked. I thought you said it wasn't that kind of connection. Zavara's lips twitched into a smile. It's not. But I think you might enjoy the feast. You're human. You're so obsessed with food. Okay, now I'm really confused, I admitted. Are you saying that the ritual involves food? You're talking about a meal? Precisely, she replied. A feast, a sharing of sustenance. An experience. A moment of unification. I tried not to groan. Okay, I get it. But what kind of weird alien food are we talking about? Zavara smirked, clearly enjoying my discomfort. Not your Earth food. We'll try something a bit more illuminating. I opened my mouth to protest but quickly closed it when she waved her hand. Suddenly, strange glowing dishes appeared in front of us, shimmering with a surreal light. The food looked, well, I couldn't quite describe it. It wasn't like anything I'd ever seen before. But it didn't smell bad. Here, Zavara said, nudging one toward me. This is part of the ritual. You have to consume the bond. I'm really starting to regret this purchase, I muttered, picking up one of the glowing cubes. Zavara, unfazed, took a bite of hers, watching me. It's not too bad. Give it a try. I know it's strange, but you'll get used to it. I looked at her for a second, unsure. But then, feeling the pressure, I took a bite. To my surprise, it wasn't bad. It was sweet, almost like fruit, but with an aftertaste that tingled in my mouth. Well, this isn't the worst thing that's happened to me today, I muttered. Zavara grinned. I told you. Not all rituals are unpleasant. Now, we share this feast, this experience, and our bond becomes stronger. I looked down at the glowing food, then back at her, wondering just how much more of this I'd have to endure before I could get out of this weird, forced marriage. But at least for now, I couldn't help but feel a little more connected. And a little more freaked out. The next day, I thought I might have a shot at getting out of this bizarre situation. But that was before Zavara dropped the next phase of the ritual on me. You're still not getting it, she said as I tried to fix the pipes under the sink, still unsure if I was hallucinating or if this was my new reality. This bonding isn't just physical. It's emotional. You have to connect on a deeper level. I stood up from under the sink, wiping my hands on a rag. Emotional? I'm not a therapist, lady. I just need to figure out how to fix my damn plumbing. Zavara raised an eyebrow, a hint of mischief in her eyes. You think you're just going to fix this house and go about your life? You can't repair your way out of this. You're mine now. Right, I muttered. I'm a fixer-upper now, huh? She grinned, leaning casually against the doorway. Exactly. You just need to understand the bond. You need to feel what we have here. The connection. I gave her a look. Are you talking about some kind of therapy session now? You humans are so simplistic, she said, shaking her head. It's not therapy. It's synergy, we connect. We're more than just two people. We're energy partners. I stared at her. Asterisk energy partners asterisk? So, we're not just married. Now we're, what, some cosmic team? You're getting it, she said, her tone dripping with amusement. But you have a lot of catching up to do. You've got to start understanding the energies involved here. I didn't know what she meant by energies, but I wasn't exactly eager to find out. The whole thing felt like a weird hybrid of marriage counseling and alien space cult. I could feel my patience wearing thin. So, I said, trying to change the subject, how do we move on from here? You've got me breathing your air, eating glowing food, what's next? Do I need to build you a shrine or something? Zavara didn't laugh, but her lips curved into a smile. You don't need to build anything. You need to accept this bond. Understand it. And stop resisting it. Stop resisting it? I echoed, incredulous. Lady, I didn't ask for any of this. I bought a house. That's it. And now I'm stuck with a wife who won't let me leave. Her eyes narrowed. You're not stuck. You're chosen, you're the one who made the decision by stepping into this house. You're the one who made this happen. Yeah, well, I didn't sign a contract, I shot back. I'm just here trying to fix a few things and get on with my life. Too bad, she said, stepping closer. You're part of something much bigger now. And I'm not letting you go. We've already formed the bond. It's sacred, binding. You don't walk away from that. Not unless you want to break the agreement, and I'm sure you don't want to do that. I stared at her. What happens if I break it? Things could get messy, she said darkly, with a grin that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Very messy. You wouldn't want to break the bond. Trust me. Well, I don't see any way around this, I said, throwing my hands up in frustration. You're saying I'm stuck with you for good? Zavara's smirk didn't falter. Asterisk not stuck, asterisk bonded. There's a difference. And honestly, I don't think you'll mind once you experience the next part of the ritual. I froze. There's more? She nodded. There's always more. The last part of the bonding involves sharing, intimacy. Intimacy? I repeated, my voice rising. Wait, so now we're talking about that? She didn't flinch. You humans really need to get past the physical idea of intimacy. It's not just about, well, what you're thinking. It's about true connection, about energy flowing between us. It's deeper than what your species considers sex. Great, I muttered. So, now I'm supposed to share energy with you in some cosmic way? Exactly, she said, nodding. You're learning. And just how am I supposed to do that? I asked, trying to keep my voice even. Are we going to have some weird alien ceremony, or am I supposed to suddenly feel this connection? Exactly, she said again, her tone flat but amused. It's not just something you do, it's something you experience together. It's a part of the ritual, and once you're through it, you'll understand. I'm starting to regret ever seeing that for sale sign, I grumbled. Zavara stepped closer, her eyes gleaming with mischief. I'm sure you are. But you'll get used to it. Just think of it like therapy with a very interesting twist. I crossed my arms. I'm not sure this is the kind of therapy I need. I'm not sure what kind of therapy you need either, she said, tapping her chin thoughtfully. But this is going to help you become enlightened. Trust me, once you've connected, you'll never want to go back. I stared at her, still processing everything that had been thrown at me. The idea of bonding with an alien woman in this way felt completely foreign to me. It was hard enough just trying to fix the damn sink. But here I was, stuck in some cosmic marriage with a woman I couldn't escape. Zavara didn't give me time to think. Ready for the next step? Not really, I admitted, but she was already stepping toward me, her eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made my heart race. You'll be fine, she said. Just trust me. We're a team now. And for the first time, I had no idea whether that was the scariest thing she could have said, or if I was just getting started. I wasn't sure what I expected when Zavara mentioned intimacy, but it wasn't what happened next. She led me upstairs to the living room, where a small circle of pillows had been arranged on the floor. I wasn't sure whether to laugh or run, but at this point, I was too tired to do either. It felt like I had been stuck in some kind of alien-induced fever dream for days. Sit, she said, gesturing to the pillows. Her voice was calm, almost soothing, but I could tell there was an underlying edge to it. I hesitated but eventually lowered myself onto one of the pillows, crossing my arms defensively. Zavara sat across from me, her posture relaxed but somehow predatory. The ritual can't begin until you're fully open to the connection, she said. You have to let go of the resistance. Resistance? I repeated, incredulously. I'm not resisting anything. I just don't get it. She smiled knowingly. You'll get it. I promise. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself, but it didn't help. Zavara had that effect on me. There was something about her that unsettled me and yet, intrigued me. Despite everything, part of me wanted to see where this absurd ritual was headed, even if I was about to regret it later. You're supposed to relax, she said, her tone almost mocking now. Focus on your breath. We share it, remember? I clenched my teeth. I don't need another breath exercise. Her smile widened. That's the problem. You're thinking too much. Let your body take over. I didn't want to give in, but part of me couldn't deny that the whole thing felt different. The air in the room was thick with a strange energy. Not the sort of energy you'd feel during a normal conversation, but something deeper, almost magnetic. Against my better judgment, I leaned back, closing my eyes for a moment. When I opened them again, Zavara was closer, watching me intently. She didn't say anything, just sat there, silently daring me to break the tension. What do you want from me? I asked, suddenly feeling exposed. Why can't I just leave this stupid house and forget all this happened? Zavara tilted her head, as though considering my question for the first time. You could, but you won't. You can't. This isn't just about the house. It's about us. She said it with such certainty that it caught me off guard. I wasn't sure if she was being serious or if this was some strange alien form of manipulation. Either way, I wasn't getting out of this without playing along. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache coming on. I'm not ready for whatever you're about to do. You're never going to be ready, she replied. That's the point. Before I could respond, she moved closer again, and this time, there was no denying the tension. I could feel the heat radiating from her, the space between us suddenly charged with an undeniable force. I didn't know if it was the ritual at work or something else, but I felt my body responding against my will. Focus, Zavara said softly, her eyes never leaving mine. It's not just physical. You need to understand that. I nodded, even though I had no idea what she was talking about. All right. I'm focused. She gave a small, satisfied smile. Good. Now, let's connect. Close your eyes. I did, begrudgingly. My mind raced, but I forced myself to stay still, breathing slowly. There was nothing else to do but let her lead, which felt like the most ridiculous thing in the world. A few moments passed in silence. Then I felt it. A sensation that I couldn't quite describe. It wasn't physical, but I felt something move within me. It wasn't her touching me, it wasn't anything real, but it was like a connection of sorts, like our minds were suddenly linked in some strange, alien way. The energy between us was palpable now, and for the first time, I understood what she meant by sharing. But it wasn't just physical. It was like she was inside my head, or I was inside hers. I could sense her thoughts, sharp, precise, and strangely comforting. It was disorienting, to say the least, but it was also intimate. I could feel the weight of her presence in my mind, the sense of her energy wrapping around me. And with that came an overwhelming rush of emotions. I was confused, scared, and even a little excited. I tried to pull away from the connection, but I couldn't. It was like trying to push back against the tide. It was too strong, too encompassing. And then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. I opened my eyes, gasping for breath. Zavara was sitting back across from me, her expression calm. See? That wasn't so hard, was it? I struggled to catch my breath, still processing the sensation. That was weird. She laughed softly. It's not weird. It's how we connect. And now that you've done it, you'll start to understand. The bond is real. It's more than just some physical connection. It's a partnership. I shook my head, still trying to make sense of everything. I don't know how you expect me to just accept all of this. One minute I'm fixing a leaky sink, and the next, I'm sharing breath with an alien woman who claims I'm her husband. Zavara's gaze softened, her tone a little less teasing. I don't expect you to understand all of it at once. It takes time. But this bond is something you can't just ignore, no matter how much you try. I ran a hand through my hair, trying to shake the fog from my brain. And if I don't want any part of it? Her smile turned more serious. You can try to walk away. But I'll warn you, it'll be a lot harder than you think. You've already made the choice. We're in this together now, whether you like it or not. I didn't have a response. What could I say? I was stuck in a house with a beautiful but incredibly strange alien woman, bound by some ridiculous contract neither of us really understood. And she wasn't wrong. I had already made my choice. I had bought the house. I had bought the marriage. It was too late to back out now.